Hey everybody, welcome back. So in this video I'm going to show the process that I use to assemble some of this IKEA EKET Modular shelving furniture. So what I got here are four of the kind of the cube shaped shelves. They're 13 and 7/8 pretty much cubed, and then two-door cabinet there in gray that's essentially like four of these together. It's 27 and 5/8 by 27 and 5/8, and it's the same 13 and 7/8 depth, so it kind of all will just mix in together. So basically you get some panels, and then you get some hardware pieces here to some of it you'll use, some of it you probably won't use, but anyway, get your typical IKEA directions that it's basically just pictures. It's kind of like putting Lego stuff together. So basically we got with these cubes, you got two sides that are identical and then two other sides that are identical. Two of them have little nubs on the edges, and then two have kind of a keyhole shape that you slip the little nubs into and then push them up and lock them into the smaller side there. So anyway, there's one of the panels is labeled with a number 1. I'm not sure it really actually matters on these. I don't know if there's anything special about them, other than there's 3 holes where the little spacer pads go, so I guess that would be probably the one that's at the top there. So anyway, what we're going to do first is just I like to, you kind of want to lay these out on a harder surface if possible. I usually just lay them out on the floor, or tabletop's good, but I'll use that cardboard kind of from the box just as a layer in between to keep from scratching stuff up there. And but yeah, basically they just slip it in the nub there into the little keyhole, and then you just push it down. One thing I will say, a little tip that I wish I would have done, or on to do next time if I assemble some of these, is take I don't know, something, a towel that's folded over a few times, and just wrap it over, because you're going to be pushing down on these pieces to lock them together. And my hand was pretty bruised up by the time it was all said and done, because it does require some force. One of them I had to a couple of them I'd have had to smack down with a rubber mallet, just to kind of seat them in all the way to where the sides there are flush with each other. But yeah, that's most of the assembly is right there. You don't really have to screw anything together per se, unless you're attaching it to the wall. But once you get the 3 sides together, you slide in your back plate. Obviously you want to do it with the decals facing outwards. So it's a little tricky, because the opening there, sometimes it's spread out just a little bit till you get the final piece locked in. You want to push it up in there as far as it'll go. You'll have just enough gap to get the 4th piece in. Kind of after I did a few of these, if you can get one side kind of basically in, and then you may just you pull out a little bit on the other side, and there's just enough room. But you get them kind of started, it's probably easiest to line them up and insert it at that point, but then you want to have it down to push on it at this point. So that's basically the box assembly. There's 4 little clips on the end that kind of hold the back piece firmly in place. I think mainly just so it doesn't show a little gap on one end there. So but there's basically you kind of see the hole in the middle of the edge there. There's 4 big pieces that you push in, and then a little small piece that kind of wedges in there and locks it all into place. So this piece here, in my particular application, I ended up just stacking it together. You can get some connection hardware to kind of hold the shelves together if you're stacking them up, or if you're going to hang them on the wall, you can use those pieces right there. Or you would take the adjusting knob off, which is what I have on there now. So but basically you just run a screw right through the center of that, and then it's got some covers. If you're going to screw it up into the wall, you'll want to have some kind of if you're going into drywall, some kind of secure hardware there so they don't just pull out. But these I've got a baseboard, so I had them adjusted out so where you can push everything over. It's nice and flush up against the wall. So that was my purpose. Initially I got just the 4 boxes together. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but we'll get to that in a minute. So these are, I think they've updated some of the hardware on this one, because those pieces were out of the bag there. They may have been in a separate bag or something, but anyway, you got all the similar hardware, and then you got some hardware to kind of hinges to mount the doors, and then you got these little magnetic pieces there. So that's going to be the first step on these. You have the panel, I think that's the number 1 panel, that's got the 4 little holes in it opposite the groove for the back plate. You want to orientate them in that direction with kind of the circle facing outwards or to the closest edge there. But that's the little pieces. You push them in and it locks down, and then you push it again and it pushes away. So there's kind of a real powerful little magnet in there and a metal plate you put in the door, and that's what holds them closed. And then push it again and it pushes the door away. So that's how that works. So you can see our first piece there with the 2 little magnet posts in it. So same thing, just lock them together, slide your back plate in. This one's, it's gray on the inside but white on the outside, but and you can put those in any which way because it is basically square shaped, same height as width. So same thing here, just work it in there. This is going to be the most difficult one sometimes, with kind of trying to get it in there, and then the back plate sometimes wants to slide out as well. So that's really the only difficult part, other than some of the force to lock these in place. So this one's got, I think, two of those clips per side. So basically push the first piece in, lock your second piece in, you're good to go. So these are it's a little plastic bracket that has a small hole where the hinge pin fits in and slips into a bigger hole, and that's basically how you are going to adjust the angle of the doors. So you can see the piece right there. I don't know. It looks like logically, if you had the little arrow facing backwards, it would be the easiest to slide in. But I kind of found a different method. Anyway, I'm just going in the order of how the directions are laid out, and this is just a little metal back piece that the magnets stick to. So these are your little hinge pins. One's spring loaded and one's just fixed. So the fixed one is going to go in on the bottom end of the door, or the opposite end of that little metal plate you put on, and then the top one will go on the spring one will go on the side you put the metal plate. These are just little clips to hold the shelf in. You can pick any of those 3 holes there. So I picked the top one, give you a little more room on the bottom to stack stuff in there, and a little shorter on the top. Just up to you how you want to do it. But then from there the shelf just fits down in there, and that's basically how that goes in. So back to putting the door in. I found basically you'll put the bottom one in, and then you got to kind of try to hold the spring loaded in down to get the door in. But I found it was pretty tight fit. But I found like just lifting that flap, having it outwards, and you could kind of wedge the door straight at it and push back from there. I don't know, that kind of worked for me, but you do it however works for you. You may could put a knife or something in between to hold the spring loaded part down and try to guide it in that way. Either way, wasn't too big of a task to get those in there, so got them in. And from here you just turn those little the little piece with the tail right there. I got it sticking out. You can see as I turned it from that point to straight across, how it's kind of got an oblong circle within another circle. So basically you would want it either straight out, same plane as the door when it's closed, all the way to straight back. So what you want to shoot for is try to get an equal gap between the door and the basic box section there, or the frame or whatever. So takes a little practice, you know, to get everything where it clears everywhere. So mine's pretty close here. It's not perfect, but anyway, that's how it turned out. I just stacked 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and they're basically just resting pushed up in there. So anyway, hopefully you found the video helpful. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I've got several other IKEA furniture assembly videos. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one, and thanks for watching.